Richard Louv has written 8 books on the themes of family, nature, and community. He is convinced they're all connected. In his book, The Last Child in the Woods, Louv emphasizes the need for children to spend more time outside in the natural world. When children take time out to be in nature, they are healthier, can concentrate better, and are generally happier.
On a beautiful summer morning, Emily Kreitz is outside learning about milkweed.
It has something in it which is sort of milky, so that's why it's called a milkweed.
Luca Uterwolga is building a fort.
It's good to get away from TV a little bit.
And Sophia Gunther is at the pond. This day camp in Chevy Chase, Maryland is old school. No electronics allowed. Because if they were home, these kids all know what they would be doing.
I probably would be watching TV, playing games, playing my iTouch.
The average American child now spends 53 hours a week using technology. The time kids spend outside has dropped 16% in just the last 5 years.
The more high-tech our lives become, the more nature we need.
Richard Louv, author of Last Child in the Woods, says a generation of children is at risk of growing up nature deficient.
Yes, technology gives us things. Yes, we get certain skills from that. But we also get certain skills from being outside in nature.
Skills like problem solving.
You could use these because they're deeper.
Creativity. And leadership.
Wait, dude, keep your feet out of it.
Over the course of the summer, more than 1,000 young campers will spend time out of doors in this program run by the Audubon Society.
Sitting in front of the screen just really isn't good for you. Getting outside and playing is.
The mud washes off, but the experience stinks.
Sorry I'm late. That's okay. We're just getting started.
And we could use all the help we can get.
That's true. I hope everyone brought their notes on intellectual property. Yep.
Intellectual property? What's that?
It's what we've been talking about all week in class. Remember, there are 2 main types of intellectual property. The things you can get a patent on, like inventions or designs, and the things you can get a copyright for, like artistic creations.
I've got all the notes on patents, but I missed the part about copyrights. Can you 2 explain that to me?
Sure. You can get a copyright on artistic works such as books, poems, paintings, sculptures, and music.
And it works like a patent does. It protects the person who made the work. It's a guarantee that no one else can use their work.
But I listen to other people's music all the time. I don't understand. Don't they want me to use it?
You can use copyrighted work if you buy it or you get permission. So if you're listening to music that you downloaded, you probably bought it, right?
Yeah, most of the time.
Well, you should buy it all the time. If you download music illegally, you might actually have to pay a fine or even go to jail. It's stealing someone else's work.
Is that similar to plagiarism?
Absolutely. You cannot use someone else's words as your own. That's why you have to be careful when you're writing something for class.
Of course, you can quote someone, then you're giving them credit for their work.
But even when you quote, you can't quote an entire essay.
Can you use a paragraph? Now I'm starting to worry about my last paper.
Yes, a few quoted sentences or a paragraph is usually fine, but you need to say you've used someone else's ideas every time you do it, even if you edit their work or revise a little bit.
Looks like I missed an important lecture. Can you remind me again what you can get a copyright for?
Music, plays, movies, paintings, novels, even architectural designs.
And how long does a copyright last? Is it the same as for patents?
Let me see. I have that somewhere in my notes. Here it is. Most U.S. copyrights last for the life of the artist plus 70 more years. In most other countries, it's either the artist's life plus 70 years or the artist's life plus 50 years.
Wow, that's much longer than the 20 years of protection an invention gets from a patent. So let me see if I understand. A copyright is sort of like a patent. It protects the person who made the work. So you can't use copyrighted work without paying or without permission. You can get a copyright on things like books, plays, music, and paintings. But it lasts much longer than a patent. The life of the artist plus 70 years. Is that right?
You got it. Now, since you know so much about patents, could we go over those notes again?
A new report this week says climate change could damage 70% of the world's coral by the year 2030. It's a problem here in Florida. So we sent Elaine Quijano to meet a man who has pieced together a way to save the reefs.
Marine biologist Ken Niedermeyer sounds like a proud parent when he talks about coral, the tiny organisms living on limestone that he's growing off the coast of Florida.
Especially when they start getting big and they're spawning and there's fish living inside them. I get real excited. I think that's great. I'm thinking, can't wait to see what it looks like in 5 more years.
Over the last decade, Niedermeyer and a small team have developed new techniques to grow and replace coral damaged by environmental changes. We dove 30 feet below the surface with him to see how he does it.
I think it's doing better than you thought they would when you first started this project. They do a lot better than I thought they would. If you look down there, all those have been in the last 2 years. There's a lot of coral there. When you look at this, what do you see? I see hope.
Because of disease, pollution, and warming ocean temperatures, coral coverage in Florida has decreased from about 50% 30 years ago to 7% today. What happens if the reefs die off here?
The tourism collapses, the whole economy of the Florida Keys changes, and the whole ecosystem just degrades.
Niedermeyer's solution is to remove pieces from healthy coral.
And every 6 months we cut the ends off and plant them down there.
Then, using a waterproof adhesive, he mounts them onto concrete slabs or hooks, where they grow until they are ready for transplant.
We're starting to transplant elkhorn coral out to the reef, which is a real exciting coral. There's no other coral like it in the world. Elkhorn coral forms these huge, massive barrier reefs on the outside, and they like waves smashing on them. And so if we don't have them taking the brunt of those waves, then your beachfront house is going to take the brunt of those waves.
Niedermeyer recently received permission from the government to plant 50,000 pieces of coral on protected reefs in the Florida Keys. But he needs money to do that. His group, the Coral Restoration Foundation, relies mostly on private donations. He only has enough money to keep operations running through January.
I'm not ready to quit. We have a lot to do, and we're confident that we'll find, some way, somehow to make it happen.
Niedermeyer plans to go global, restoring not only Florida's lost coral, but saving coral around the world, a small piece at a time.
I'm here with geologist Dr. Mark Richards. He's going to explain how a biosand water filter works. Good morning, Dr. Richards. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. It's great to be here.
First of all, could you explain how you learned to make a water filtration system?
Well, as a geologist, I often work outdoors in remote areas, sometimes for many weeks. One of the things I had to learn was how to clean or purify water from the nearest stream, river, or lake so that I could drink it or cook with it. I did this by making a biosand water filter.
Okay, great. And you're going to explain how to make one?
Yes, I am. To start, you need a container like a plastic bottle. The first layer is made of large stones. Next, you have some smaller stones that you place on top of the bigger ones. Wet sand goes on top of that. This sand layer should be thicker than the stone layers.
Now, if I could just stop you for a moment, what is the purpose of the sand?
The sand actually holds on to harmful viruses and bacteria as the water passes through it. It acts as a filter to remove bad smells and taste from the water, and most importantly, can eliminate many viruses and bacteria from the water.
And how much sand do you have to use?
As you can see, you want a lot more sand than rock, probably 7 or 8 times as much. Then you make a small hole on the side. Notice that the hole is below the level of the sand. We want the water to pass through the sand. Now, a little tube gets inserted on the side. You can use a straw too. The dirty water will filter through
I'm sorry to interrupt. Could you tell us if the biosand filters will completely purify the water?
Under ideal circumstances, the biosand water filter can produce drinking water, but the source water must not be too contaminated either. It can reduce turbidity as well as the percentage of pathogens like bacteria and viruses, and also...
I'd like to clarify, it won't produce perfectly clean water.
No, it's not 100% clean. However, these filters have been credited with improving health in many places around the world where there have been ongoing problems with water for years. Sometimes because of these water filters, people are able to drink water from a nearby source for the first time and not get sick. When you need drinking water, this simple water filter can be a lifesaver. And that is one of the most important aspects of these water filters.
Making your own water filtration system, that's a skill that could be very useful. Dr. Richards, thank you very much again for being our guest.
My pleasure.